Hello, welcome back to my channel. I'm Kate, I'm an average pace reader and this is my August reading wrap up. Slightly late, I did sit down and film this already once, went to edit the footage and it was all gone, so no idea what happened there. I'm going to quickly run through what I read for August, the ratings and some of my favourite books. So we started off the month really strong with an arc, and that was The Serpent's Bride by Kathryn and Kingsley. This was really fun. It was a vampire, dark romance, sort of urban fantasy book. You have a arranged marriage, you have a sort of hidden identity, shape-shifting fae who wants to infiltrate a really wealthy and sort of notorious vampire family and kill the youngest son because he murdered her family like a couple of decades ago. I loved so much about this book. I love the characters. I thought that they were really intriguing. A lot of like backstory and history we got about our female main character. And then you have this sort of cast of like different characters. You have brutes, you have like a lovable fun sister, you have an overbearing sort of mother-in-law. It was just really fun. The setting in the world was really interesting. It was sort of set in modern day, so there were guns and cars and stuff like that, but humans and vampires lived alongside each other, with the vampires sort of taking control, and then you have fae who live on like the outskirts of the city and are looked down upon. So the whole dynamic between the sort of different, like, I don't want to say like creatures, but different like beings was really interesting. The story itself was so fun. You have an FMC who is out to kill the MMC, the vampire, but she starts to fall for him. He seemingly starts to fall for her, but I felt like it was a will they, won't they type of situation the entire way through the book. There was spice, there was a good like plot and sort of politics behind it all as well. So I rated this 5 stars. I thought it was great. There's definitely going to be another one in the series. The ending was a great cliffhanger. So it is now officially out. So if you see it out in the wild on Amazon in Waterstones, grab a copy because it is so good. Then the next 2 books I read were book 1 and 2 in the Bloodwing Academy series, which is On Wings of Blood and The Bond That Burns. These again are vampire / fae dragon romantasy books. You have a bully romance, you have vampires again sort of being like the ruling class, and you have an academic setting in terms of an academy where the vampires go, but they also go with Blightborns, which are like non-magical people and also like dwarves as well. So you get definitely like a range of beings in this world. There are dragons. You don't get those until later into book 1 and book 2, but that's a really fun element that I can't wait to sort of explore more in book 3. I read these back to back because after book 1 I just had to pick up book 2. I rated them both 4 stars, so this series is potentially a 5-star series for me. You have a bully romance between our FMC, who is a fae that has essentially like fallen, like physically fallen into the world that we're living in, and she's captured and put into an arranged marriage, this betrothal, with the MMC, who is a vampire, sort of like a prince vampire. So his uncle is sort of the ruling vampire of this world, and yeah, it goes from there. She doesn't want to be married to him. He doesn't really want to be like connected to her, but oh my god, say hi. Where was I? So we have this betrothal that neither of them want to be involved with, and they kind of hate each other. So it's definitely like a hate to love. I wouldn't say enemies. It is enemies, but they definitely hate each other, and that really comes through. And then you have sort of this aspect of our FMC where she has like bright red hair, and that is a sign of being a dragon rider. So they think that the dragon riders have returned, this long lost sort of like subspecies of people in their world. So I don't want to give too much away. It's not the best written book, but the vibes and the story and the tension and the angst is just like so much fun. It was just a real page turner for me. I rated them both 4 stars, and I can't wait to read the 3rd book. The next book I read was My Dark Desire, and that is by LJ Shen and Parker S. Huntington. I listened to this on audio and I gave it 3 stars. It was fine. Overall, it was okay. It was just sort of like it was a fine romance. I'm really struggling to like think of what I liked about it. It's a Cinderella retelling. You have Pharaoh, the FMC, who basically goes into Zach, the MMC's house, to steal something from him, and she gets caught, and the plot sort of goes from there. He hires her as a living maid. Their relationship blossoms. I think it was Zach that I didn't like the most. His character is like the opposite of toucher and die. It's like, don't touch me. I don't want you to touch me. I don't want physical touch. So obviously they do physically touch each other, but it just really put me off him at the start, and he's a bit obnoxious and arrogant and like full of himself. And while I love that in like a dark, broody MMC, he was just a bit snobby, in all fairness, and it just like, I think it ruined it for me. I didn't love the narrators either for the audiobook, so I struggled with that. It was fine. I preferred the first. It's interconnected standalone series, so the first was My Dark Romeo. I think I gave that 4 or 5 stars. Absolutely love that. I do have the third, which is My Dark Prince, so I'm not really in a rush to read that now, but we'll see. We'll see how things go for the next couple of months. It might be pushed into like spring next year. And then after all that romance and romantasy, I needed a palette cleanser, which came in the way of Frieda. Good old Frieda. This was One by One, Frieda McFadden, really short book, just over 300 pages. So I read it in sort of like a day and a half, and I gave it 3 stars. Again, it was a good book. I think it was a little predictable in places, but I read Frieda not really for like a massive plot twist, sort of like shock value. I read them as palette cleansers, so it's just something that I can get through quickly and that takes me away from romance and dragons and all that kind of thing. So I like this one. I definitely recommend it if you're after a really short, quick thriller. With it being so short, it's just that perfect palette cleanser for me. And then the last book I read was Love and Other Killers by Brynne Weaver. This is a little novella that sits at the end of the Ruinous Love trilogy. So that is Butcher and Blackbird, Leather and Lark, Scythe and Sparrow. And they are probably one of my favourite series of books. I just love how fun and banter-filled and spicy that trilogy is. Definitely check your trigger warnings going into that series. There are some really funny, I can't say fun because they're a bit grim, but fun and funny triggers, but also very dark ones as well. So just check them before you read them. But I just can't stop recommending that series. So to read this little novella was so fun, to be back in the world, jump back in with all the characters we love. I think it's pitched as a standalone, but personally it would ruin all 3 stories if you read it as a standalone. Each book has a happily ever after, so you know that the couples get together, but it might spoil a few elements. The little novella takes place at the end of book 3, and you have the couple from book 1 and 2. The couple from book 1, so Butcher and Blackbird, and they take part in like a game every year. It's like a serial killer game. So they basically go after someone that's done wrong in the world and hunt them down, kill them. And in this novella, the couples from book 2 and 3 also take part, so it's like a whole family sort of vibe. It's really strange, but it's so much fun. So I gave the novella 5 stars because it was just really fun to be back in that world. I love the spice, I love the games, I love the banter. It was everything that I loved about Brynne's writing, so I would definitely recommend it if you read the Ruinous Love trilogy. And then on to my September TBR. So I've already picked my TBR, and I did it sort of straight out of my TBR jar. So I'm trying to get a lot of my physical books read because I think I have close to 100 physical books that I have not read. So I needed to get some of those off the list. So I'll quickly run through what I have picked. So first we have the Shepherd King duology. So this is One Dark Window and Two Twisted Crowns. And I read The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig before I read this. And I thought, well, if I really enjoyed that, then I really do need to read this duology. And I have some friends and some booktokers that have raved about it, and as we're getting into the burn months now, it's getting a bit cooler out, we're getting into spooky season, I thought something dark and gothic would be perfect. So I have actually started this. So I've started One Dark Window, and it is on Spotify. There are 15 hours included in your premium subscription if you are the account holder. So I've started that on Spotify. I don't think I'll be able to finish the whole book using those 15 hours, but I can also dip into the physical copy as well, so I'm happy to do that. And I think this might be like a 4-star series for me. We'll see. That's my prediction. We'll come back to that. And then the next book that I picked from my prompt jar was Throne of the Fallen by Kerry, I gotta say this, Maniscalco. I don't know much about this apart from the fact that it's a romantasy and it is the first in a series. And I was thinking of sitting down and doing like book series I'm in the middle of video, and then realised basically all of the book series that I'm in the middle of, just the next books haven't been published yet. So I feel like I need to start some new series. That might be sort of my goal for the rest of the year, is to get started on some new series. But I can definitely tick one series off as starting when I start that book. And then the next book is Shallow River by H.G. Carlton. I read the Cat and Mouse duet and loved it, and I would love to read more of her work. So I have a physical copy of this that I'm hoping to read this month. And then I picked an Audible prompt, so I needed to read an book via audio. I chose Bourbon and Lies, which I've already finished. I'm not going to give any spoilers away, but I loved it. And again, that is the first in a series, and all 3 books are out. I think they're interconnected standalone romance series set in Kentucky on a bourbon distillery. So really unique, fun setting. And yeah, I've already read the first. We'll save my review for next month. And then the last book I picked was Rose and Chains by Julie Soto. I have a really pretty special edition of this, and I am excited because I believe it's a Hermione fan fiction that's been changed and traditionally published. So I read Manacled before it got traditionally published, and I'm getting a couple of special editions of Alchemized when it comes out. So I think I've got the Fairy Loot edition and the Waterstone special edition, so those will be gorgeous on the shelf. So yeah, to dive into another Hermione fanfic will be really fun for this month. And that is my wrap up and TBR complete. Let me know if you've read any of the books that I've read or I'm going to read, what you think of them and what you'll be reading this month.